Skinner and the Superintendent. Skinner with his crazy explanations, the Superintendent is going to need his medication. When he hears Skinner's lame exaggerations, there's gonna be trouble tonight. This week's episode is titled An Unforgettable Luncheon, and is brought to you by Mr. Sparkle, disrespectful to dirt. With the sun shining and birds chirping, it's a beautiful summer day in the middle American town of Springfield. Superintendent Chalmers is alone, walking down the street in search of something.
It must be around here somewhere. I've been living in this town for years, yet to me it's still an unnavigable mishmash of blind corners, cul-de-sacs, and dead ends. Maybe I can glean something from this. This hand-drawn map is as incomprehensible as the town around me. Sure, I may know the entire Mohawk Valley like the back of my hand, but Springfield remains an impenetrable enigma at even the very best of times. Oh, wait. I think this just might be upside down. Looks like I have to turn around and go the opposite way, and I'm already running behind on this silly engagement, which I will wholly admit I wasn't greatly anticipating to begin with.
In the Skinner household, Seymour is putting the finishing touches on an elaborate meal.
Now to create a delicious crust on my roast beef. I'll turn the oven all the way up. For just a minute or two, that is. Yes, perfect. Well, with my meal nearly cooked and my guests just about to arrive, it's time to take a quick respite from a long morning of prep.
Seymour,
Yes, Mother?
get upstairs now.
Right away, Mother. What is it now, Mother?
Why is it so hot in here?
Well, I've been cooking all morning.
Cooking? For whom?
I'm making a roast for myself and Superintendent Chalmers, who should be here any minute.
Oh, of course.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing.
That tone wasn't nothing, Mother. It never is.
A man of your age shouldn't be married to his job, and he definitely shouldn't be groveling to his boss.
The superintendent isn't my boss. He's a colleague. Regardless, I know what you're getting at, and you know full well there isn't a lady in this town that would meet your standards.
Not one you could convince to come around for dinner.
Goodness, I don't have time for this. I need to head back down to the kitchen.
Ah, yes, to impress your colleague.
We can continue this illuminating conversation later.
Well, Seymour, I made it, despite your directions.
Superintendent Chalmers, welcome. You aren't one of my students, so worry not about being tardy. Come on in.
At the very least, all this wandering about has helped me work up an appetite.
No doubt it's conjured a thirst as well. I see you have a bottle in tow.
Why, yes, I have.
Ooh, a fine Merlot. This should pair well with the roast beef we're having.
That's the idea.
Great. Everything should be just about ready, so I will tend to our meal while you uncork that bottle and make yourself comfortable in the dining room.
Fine.
Excellent. I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon.
Yeah.
Now to carve up my perfectly cooked... Wait. Oh, could it be? Is that smoke rising up from the oven? Oh, egods, my roast is ruined. No. How could you have been so careless, Seymour? What to do? What to do? That smell creeping in from the oven. The burned flesh, it reminds me of the war. Memories. Horrific memories. The inhumanity people are capable of unleashing upon one another, memories clear as day in the mind's eye. I was one of those people. I took part in the depravity. I was an agent of it. Oh, we were sent there, mere boys, convinced we were fighting for something bigger, to protect our very way of life. We were sent there only to find ourselves up against other mere boys under the same illusions. Oh, I'd like to say we came back as men, but we returned only as the shells of men, empty husks. I can feel it. The fear creeping in once more, just as it did on the battlefield. It filled us all beyond the brim, spilling over and corrupting everything it touched in a hellfire of violence. So extreme, it had to be seen to be believed, and once seen, never to be forgotten. For death had become our religion, and kill or be killed our mantra. I assure you my brothers in arms did their share of both. Snap out of it, Sergeant. The superintendent is on the other side of that door, and I've already spent far too long in here. Surely I can whip up something as a stand-in, maybe some leftovers. I'll just take a look in the refrigerator. Nothing. Mother must have thrown it all out. Hold on a moment. The restaurant across the way. What if I were to purchase food and disguise it as my own cooking? Could it work? True, Chalmers is a clever man, but is he as clever as I? Not much is certain in this world, but certainly this ruse will work. Delightfully devilish, Seymour. Now to exit via this window.
Seymour!
Superintendent, I was just stretching my calves on the windowsill. Isometric exercise. It's what they taught us in the service, and how I've managed to stay in shape since.
You don't say.
Yes, I've been considering implementing it as part of the physical education curriculum.
Not the worst idea you've had. That might help with the ever-growing number of husky children.
Exactly. Care to join me for a stretch?
Maybe another time. Say, I have a question for you.
Ask away.
Why is there smoke coming out of your oven?
That isn't smoke, it's steam. Steam from the steamed clams we're having. Steamed clams.
I was under the impression we were having roast beef.
No, steamed clams. That was the plan from the start.
I guess I must have been mistaken.
You were.
I would have brought a different wine knowing shellfish were on the menu.
I'm sure it will be fine. Now, shoo-shoo. It's just going to be a few minutes more. I've bought myself a bit of time to enact my plan. Let's give the restaurant a quick call. Hello? Well, I'd like to place an order for pickup. It's a bit of an emergency, and I need it as soon as possible. Do you happen to have steamed clams on the menu? No? What can you prepare with haste? Hamburgers? That'll have to do. 2 hamburgers and a side of French fried potatoes, please. I'm on my way.
You are listening to Skinner and the Superintendent. This week's episode, An Unforgettable Luncheon, is brought to you by Mr. Sparkle. Accept the challenge of Mr. Sparkle. As Skinner sneaks off to procure food, Chalmers is left alone in the dining room.
It would seem my lack of punctuality was ultimately inconsequential. At this rate, I can forget about this unforgettable luncheon, as it will be supper time by the time it's served. Luckily, I have this wine, which, on my empty stomach, is proving to be rather effective. Just as time heals all wounds, alcohol eases all nerves. Speaking of nerve, Seymour sure has a lot of it. Inviting me over to leave me just sitting here all on my lonesome in his dining room, which appears to have been decorated by an old lady. Tea sets, silk flowers, ceramic whatnots, and everything arranged ever so neatly on doilies. Doilies, doilies, doilies everywhere, as far as the eye can see.
Yes, you must be Seymour's colleague.
Technically, I'd be considered his superior. I'm Glenn Chalmers, Superintendent of the Springfield School Division. You are?
Agnes Skinner, Seymour's mother.
I've heard a lot about you. Probably more than one would consider healthy.
Oh, that sounds like my son.
Yes, it does. Regardless, I'm very pleased to meet you.
Sure, I understand you're here for some roast beef.
That's what I initially thought, but it appears he's making steamed clams for lunch.
Is he now?
That's what he said.
My son Seymour, who's deathly allergic to clams and the sort, said that.
He's just readying it up in the kitchen as we speak.
Really?
Meanwhile, Skinner enters a fancy French eatery.
Bonjour, monsieur.
How many to sit on this fine day?
Oh, no, good sir. I'm merely here to pick up an order. We spoke on the phone just a minute ago.
Oui. It will only take a few moments.
I hope so. It's rather important as I receive this meal as quickly as possible.
I assure you our chef will not cook it a moment longer than necessary.
That would be most unfortunate if you were to do so, believe me. May I ask you a question?
You just did?
Why does a restaurant such as this not have steamed clams on the menu? Seems like an appropriate dish.
At one time we did, but the people of this town are, how do you say, reluctant to enjoy sophisticated cuisine.
We may not be as cosmopolitan as the Omahas or Cincinnatis of the world, but surely there's a taste for fine dining in this humble town. After all, we are most certainly fans of your famous fried potatoes.
I guess they are set. Excuse me, monsieur. Allow me to check with the chef.
Back at the Skinner household.
He's a strange one, that Seymour Skinner. A real queer character, for sure. They say people rise up to a point somewhere just above their level of capability. Nothing could be more true of Seymour Skinner, the epitome of incompetence. A principal who sees himself as captain and his elementary school as the tight ship he runs, blissfully unaware that it sits at the bottom of the channel, somewhere in the vicinity of his students' test scores. Oh, I hear some rustling coming from the kitchen. Is he climbing through the window, or is it more of his absurd aerobics?
Superintendent, I hope you're ready for some mouth-watering hamburgers.
Hamburgers? I thought we were having steamed clams.
Oh, no, I said steamed hams. That's what I call hamburgers.
You call hamburgers steamed hams?
Yes, I do. It's one of those quirky utterances one finds in a regional dialect.
Uh-huh. And what region would that happen to be?
Upstate.
Wouldn't we consider this very area to be upstate?
Not this state, no. New York. It's a common colloquialism spoken in upstate New York.
Really? Well, I'm from Utica, and I've never heard anyone use the phrase steamed hams.
Oh, not Utica. It's an Albany expression.
I see. The flavor is familiar. Swear I've had something uncannily similar before. From a restaurant. One not too far from here, if my memory serves me right.
Oh, no. These are as homemade as they come. Prepared by my hand in the kitchen mere feet away from where we sit now. Patented Skinner burgers, an old family recipe passed down through the generations.
Old family recipe for steamed hams.
Yes.
Yes, and you call them steamed hams despite the fact that they're obviously grilled.
Yeah, you know, one thing I should... excuse me for a second.
Of course.
Well, that was a wonderful meal, was it not? A good time was had by all, and as all good times do, I believe it may have reached its end, for I am exhausted.
I barely touched my food, but good Lord, what is happening in your kitchen?
Nothing, sir.
That bright glow behind you is nothing?
Oh, that? Aurora Borealis.
Aurora Borealis?
It's when high-energy particles from solar ejecta...
I know what it is. You're saying there's an Aurora Borealis at this time of the year, at this time of the day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
With their meal concluded, Skinner shows the superintendent out.
Seymour, the house is on fire.
No, Mother, it's just the Northern Lights.
Well, Seymour, you are an odd fellow. But, I must say, you steam a good ham.
Thank you for tuning in to Skinner and the Superintendent. This week's episode, An Unforgettable Luncheon, was brought to you by Mr. Sparkle. For lucky best wasps, use Mr. Sparkle.